So once upon a time, long before I got all old and washed up like I am now, I used to be a professional freestyle rider in 3 different motorsports, all at the same time. I spent the better part of 10 years traveling around the world doing this stuff, riding shows and competitions, basically riding at least one of these things every single weekend all year round. And on top of that, before, during, and after the freestyle career, I raced all of these things as well, some of which were also at the professional level. All of that adds up to something like 28 years of riding experience, and holy shit, I'm old. But doing that stuff for as long as I have and doing it at the level that I was, it's pretty obvious to say that I've gotten hurt a couple of times. I can't even keep a straight face saying a couple of times. Basically, every limb from top to bottom has got something wrong with it, and the older I get, the more it sucks. But when it comes to manual screen printing, the stuff on your body that sees the most use is clearly everything from here down, which in my case happens to be what I hurt the most throughout that time frame. From my fingertips all the way up to my shoulders on both sides, the majority of this stuff has been dislocated, broken, or had something wrong with it at some point. Here, want to hear something gross? Those are pieces of bone floating around in there. The point that I'm trying to make here is that this is why I've always primarily pushed a squeegee over pulling one. It's not due to any kind of misinformation or ignorance or laziness. I know which way is better, and I know which way has more control, but I physically cannot pull a squeegee for any longer than an hour, or it starts to hurt, like a lot. Well, I can't work for only an hour a day. We've got a lot of stuff to print here, and it's gotta get done. So I've spent countless hours perfecting my setups and my technique to make a push stroke very effective and look very good, like really close to a pull stroke, but it's that extra 5% of awesomeness that I'm missing out on that I really want to get. So in comes what we're testing out today, the Easy Grip Squeegee. These things have a lot of features that we'll get into, but the major one for me is they claim that these dual handles hold your hands and wrists in a much more ergonomic position, reducing stress and fatigue, and that's really what I'm looking for because that's my issue right now. So I'm really hoping that this can turn me into a puller. I've seen a lot of talk on the internet about these things over the past few months, some people loving it, some people hating it. We're gonna put it to the test. I'm gonna find out for myself. I've also seen a lot of people just talking shit about it because it's different. A lot of those same people talk shit about me because I'm different, so maybe me and this thing belong together. In order to test this thing out, I'm gonna be making some shop shirts for myself and my guys. Maybe I'll make more if people dig them. These shirts are gonna be for work, so we're not gonna get real fancy with it. We're gonna do a single color front and back, but the back design is gonna be perfect for testing out these squeegees because the back print is a pretty heavy ink deposit, which is something that a lot of people starting out or kind of midway through their screen printing journey still have kind of trouble clearing. My main concern with this thing is pulling, so we're gonna test out some white ink on black shirts, which in this case would normally be the most difficult thing to pull having a big design like this. And we're also gonna test the push stroke capabilities. We're gonna do some red ink on white shirts just for fun. All right, this first go with it is gonna be totally raw and uncut, no edits, no bullshit. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. Nice. All right, so for my very first pass, yeah, that felt pretty good. We got a nice clean and smooth base. Wasn't really doubting that, but it felt good. Like, it was very easy to pull that thing. So let's flash this bad boy and try it again. Printed off 8 of these things now, and so far so good. I am digging this thing, but I want to try out something different. I'd like to try a different squeegee durometer just to see if that makes any difference in how this thing feels, and this is one of the cool features about this thing. The squeegee blades are actually just held in place from pinch pressure from the handle itself, so it makes changing squeegee blades super simple, which means cleaning them is going to be very easy. And now we can just take that, pop in a new one, boom, and we're ready to go. This means a few things. The first is that you're gonna be able to use all 4 edges of your squeegee blade before you decide to replace it, sharpen it, whatever you wanna do. Whereas with most wood and metal handle squeegees, you're only getting the 2 sides and that's all you got. So that makes it a lot more economical because you're getting a lot more miles out of your squeegee rubber. And to take that one step further, in comparison to glued wood handle squeegees like these, now you're only replacing the squeegee rubber and not the entire thing. So let's test this out, shall we? finished printing off all my black shirts, I honestly did not even want to stop. Switching to the triple duro rubber was definitely a good call, with white ink being as thick and hard to move as it is. Having that extra stiffness in the blade made it feel like I had way more control with this thing, and plus my prints turned out just a little bit smoother. Something else cool that happened with this thing is I dropped it. I was just getting used to this thing and how it moves and whatever. It's so much different than a wood handle squeegee, but you may notice these posts up here on the front of the handles, so when I dropped it, nothing happened. I was able to pick it back up and just keep on going as if I didn't drop it at all. With a wood handle squeegee or a metal handle squeegee, that's not happening. I'm also kind of liking this flood handle. At first when I saw it, I was just like, is that gonna work? That looks and feels kind of awkward when you grab it, but actually once you get it on an ink screen and start using it, it takes like a few passes, and once you get those few passes out of the way, you totally get used to it, and I actually like it now. But I've been printing for about an hour now, and I feel literally nothing in my hands or wrists, which is something that I've never experienced before since I started screen printing. So far, I'm believing the claims of this thing. I actually just noticed another cool feature about this thing. I probably should have fully educated myself on this before I started filming, but what can you do? Normally in this shop, I'm printing white ink on a daily basis, like 85% of the time, and I'm sure a lot of other shops are too. So because of that, I always have a squeegee or two that are dedicated only to white ink that basically never get cleaned off, because why would you? You're just wasting time. It's gonna go right back into white ink again anyways. Well, every time I'm carting ink off a screen and swapping it out for a new one, I'm always looking for a spot to put that squeegee down without getting ink all over the damn place. So usually I lay down like an old rag or something like that and put the squeegee down on there, but that's still causing a mess. There's still ink going somewhere. It's gotta go through the dryer. It's a pain in the ass. But with this thing, it's actually built right in. These posts on the backside, that's exactly what they're for. You can just lay the thing down anytime you want. Your squeegee blade is gonna stay off of any surface that you put it on. It seems a little bit tipsy, so I'm not sure I would put it down with a bunch of ink on the blade, but still, this is gonna be super convenient and a big time saver, at least for me. Again, we're gonna go raw, uncut, first impression, push stroking with this thing. I don't know. So there's nothing wrong with the print at all. The print looks great, but something about that just felt awkward to me. I don't know, something with the way the handles are angled combined with that forward motion, just, it didn't feel right to me. Which I can't believe I'm saying, because I've been a pusher for the most part up until now. I gotta test this out a little bit more. Nope. That. So I've printed off like 10 shirts now. Not a whole lot, but enough to tell me that I really don't like this for push stroking. I don't know what it is, because technically you're in the same position. The only difference being one of them you're pushing, one of them you're pulling. But when it comes to pushing it, it just feels really awkward and just not right, off balance. I don't even know how to explain it, but I can definitely say that a standard squeegee just feels a whole lot better for a push stroke. That being said though, I don't even care if this thing push stroke's worth a damn, because it pulls so good that I just may be converted. Oh, it's so much better. It's ridiculous. Yep. Don't really need to think about that too much more. Well, it's been a little over a week since I shot that stuff. I almost ended the video there, and then I thought to myself, what kind of review would this video be if I only use this thing for like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops? I've been using one of these things every single day, printing 8 to 12 hours a day. Every single job, every station, printing simple stuff, complex stuff, single color, multicolor, you name it. Basically, the whole possible spectrum of stuff that you could run into to test one of these things out. I've definitely used it enough to know exactly what I like about it, what I don't like about it, so let's get into that. So starting off the list of pros, which is the most important one to me, are the ergonomics, and I gotta say, they're incredible. This thing has fully converted me to a puller, which is something that kind of blows my mind. It's something that I was really hoping was gonna happen, but I wasn't really all that optimistic about. But like I said, I've been printing 8 to 12 hours a day with this thing, and I've had zero pain, zero issues with my wrists or any of my other shitty joints for that matter, which is something that never, ever, ever would happen with a standard handle squeegee. Believe me, I've tried numerous times, and I could never get past an hour or two without something just screaming in pain. So that right there is enough to sell me on this thing. I don't even really have to say much more about it, but I know you want to hear it, so let's keep going. There's the cost. These things are only 30 to 35 bucks, I believe, depending on which squeegee durometer that you get in there, and that's only like 10 bucks more than a wood-handled squeegee of the same size. So considering the fact that this handle could possibly last you forever, you're getting all the mileage possible out of your squeegee rubber and only replacing the squeegee rubber as needed from here on out, not buying an entire handle, that's a huge amount of savings in the long run. The posts all the way around, I can't say enough good things about these. I dropped the handle bunch of times in the ink, was able to just keep on going like nothing happened. I love the fact that I can set my squeegee pretty much anywhere and not have to worry about any ink getting on anything. That's a big time saver for me. The fact that this rubber pops in and out as fast and easy as it does means I don't have to have a whole bunch of other squeegee handles with different durometer rubber in them laying around taking up space. I really only need 8 of these to cover the 8 stations on my press, and I can quickly pop out the rubber and swap it as needed. It only takes like 2 seconds. Also, because of that quickly interchangeable squeegee rubber, it makes these things very fast and easy to clean. All I've been doing is popping out the rubber, spraying down a rag with some ink degrader, wiping it real fast, and I'm back up ready to go within like 5 seconds. And I also just like the general feel and motions of it, you know, like when I'm flooding, if I'm using the flood handle or the regular handles, it feels very comfortable. If you've got ink building up, it feels very natural and smooth to be able to quickly kind of flick it down off the rubber back down onto the screen. You're able to control your pressure and your speed a lot easier and apply a lot more pressure if needed. And pressure seems to kind of be the Achilles heel with a lot of people learning how to pull, especially with thicker inks like white. They're not able to kind of physically apply enough to clear the mesh properly. With this thing, you're using much stronger joints and muscles, so all you really need is a decent grip on it, and you can kind of get over top of it and let your body weight do all the work for you. Whereas opposed to a standard handle squeegee, you're putting a lot of strain on your fingers and your wrists and that kind of stuff when you're trying to do that, and it just doesn't feel good for a lot of people, especially me when I've got that going on. Now moving on to the cons. It's basically the same list, but with different points. The ergonomics, they suck for pushing. I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat that whatsoever. Something about it just feels unnatural. I felt it right away the first time that I tried it. I tried it a few more times throughout this week and just no changes. Something about it, man, just feels off. I just don't like it. I know for myself, if I was gonna go back to pushing again, it would be with a standard handle squeegee, hands down. Now this isn't really a huge downfall because this is something that I corrected very quickly and easily after I noticed it, but this thing it's a little bit flimsy, so when it comes to heavier inks that you really kind of gotta give them the beans, if you're not paying attention to applying even pressure with your arms, it'll twist and you're gonna get some kind of uneven prints going on. But after I noticed that, I really kind of focused on applying the same amount of pressure to both sides of the handle, and after I did that for a while, my body, I guess, got used to it, muscle memory kicked in, and I didn't have to think about it anymore, but it's definitely something worth mentioning and watching out for. I personally would like to see an update to this thing where they maybe beef up the spine a little bit so that it gets rid of some of that flex. I think that would make it a little bit more user-friendly. And then there's cleaning the thing. Now, cleaning the rubber is fantastic, super easy. Cleaning the handle, however, is kind of a bitch. Cleaning it is not something you're gonna have to do very often, but there is some stuff that will come up. In my case, I have a couple inks that are real squeegee climbers, and it kind of got up over the backside of this lip, and getting that off of there was not very fast. There was also one instance where I was a total idiot and had ink all over my hands somehow and just grabbed the thing, and it got into all these little nooks and crannies, and of course, in comparison to any standard handle squeegee, it took quite a bit longer to clean it off. But I did find out that the upside to this handle is that if it's water-based ink, you can just fully submerge this thing and let it sit there for as long as you want. Whereas with a wood handle squeegee, you're not doing that. It's gonna swell, it's gonna crack, it's gonna be garbage very quickly, whereas with this, it doesn't really matter. But I went into this not really expecting a whole lot out of these things, and I gotta say, after a week of using them as much as I have, I'm fully converted now. I'm definitely gonna keep using these things. I've seen the memes and the comments from all the old D-bags out there. I don't care what anybody has to say about them. My prints look better, my body feels better, I enjoy using it, and at the end of the day, those are things that matter to all of us. If I'm gonna put my first official stamp of approval on a piece of printing gear, this gets it. If you guys want to check these things out for yourself, of course, the link is down below in the description. Thank you to Ryonet for sending these things over for me to test out. You guys just saved my battered old body, and I really appreciate that. And if you guys are easy grip users, let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about them. Let's see if we can figure out a way to make these things just a little bit better, because they're already pretty awesome, but I think there's definitely some room for improvement. Well, that was our second product review, and it was not any more comfortable than the first one. It is still really weird. I'm so used to just kind of filming myself printing and having a good time and not really having a plan, whereas these, I feel like I kind of gotta somewhat know something and take it a little bit more serious. I definitely gotta get used to it. So hopefully this video didn't suck. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again in the next one.